Hello and welcome back to the Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host, Samit Paul, and after what has been a horrible week after defeats to Inter and Real Betis, Milan bounced back on Sunday night against Sampdoria, 3-2 win at the San Siro, 3 really good goals, Cutrone on the mark again, showing some unbelievable movement and finishing in the box, yet again for someone so young. Second goal, great play between him and Higuain, great finish from Higuain, and then the third, just another sublime finish from Suso, wrapping it up. What I will say, the major point to come away from this game for me was just the amount of character and bottle that we showed in this win. We've had a really, really bad week. The pressure's been on Gattuso and the players after 2 really bad performances and really poor results. However, they played with amazing energy off the ball, pressing really high, forcing Sampdoria into mistakes. And then on top of that, we played with urgency when we were on the ball. We looked sharp, we looked much more attacking, with more intent in our play. And overall, I just think it was a really, really good response and the right attitude, first and foremost, after what has been, a really, really difficult few days for the team and for Gattuso. Various talking points. Let's get started with the 4-4-2 switch. I thought it worked really well. I think everybody adapted to their roles really well. It could have been, seen as sort of a panic move, caused a bit more confusion and more issues for Gattuso. But I think the players responded well and it did work. I think there is still reservations over whether or not it will work against top teams, because I think there were moments where Sampdoria started to settle on the ball, get in between the lines, and similarly to what we saw against Betis in midweek, I think if you're going to come up against a technically gifted team with good midfielders, I think they can quite easily bypass our midfield and just leave our defence exposed. So I'm not fully convinced on the 4-4-2 being a permanent and long-term solution, but I think it was the right switch for the moment and it worked wonders. So great move from Gattuso and courage to show that even in a game with so much pressure on his shoulders. I think that was a really, really good move from him. Other talking points, I think there's real question marks over Musacchio for me. Now, I don't know whether I'm just being overcritical and singling him out when there's issues around him as well, but I do just feel that he's constantly involved in mistakes leading up to goals that we concede. It was the Icardi goal in the derby. Yes, great movement from Icardi in the box, but I felt Musacchio could have done a lot better trying to track his run. And then tonight, again, just Quagliarella, really, really good skill to get away from 2, but it's just the ease with which that he managed to spin off Musacchio and then just have a clear run at the back line, and it obviously ended up with Saponara scoring a really good goal, to be fair. Second goal for Sampdoria, same side of our defence. Musacchio and Calabria should have done better, in my opinion. And it just seems to revolve around that area of the pitch when Romagnoli isn't there to sweep up, to get in ahead of the attackers and read the game so well as he always does. I just feel as though we're left seriously, seriously exposed with Musacchio and Calabria. I love Calabria. I think he's amazing going forward. He's great in an attacking sense. And he really does get stuck in defensively and can do a really good job on that front as well. However, whether it's an age thing, whether it's a lack of experience still, whether he's just learning the ropes of just that tactical now of just in his head knowing where to be and the awareness of, positioning himself to make sure that attackers don't catch him out. I think he's got a lot to work on still, but I think he's 100% still above Abate in the pecking order. However, we just have to get Caldara and Conti fit now. I just want to see those two come in alongside Romagnoli with Donnarumma behind them, and I think we're going to be a much more settled, solid backline. And so the sooner that happens, the better. A quick word on Romagnoli in particular. I just wanted to give him a specific shout out because I think he was brilliant again tonight. We saw him against Inter. He was impeccable. Not only, just take aside his ability on the ball, his technical class in terms of building play out from the back, his defensive work. He's not blessed with a great amount of pace, but what he is blessed with is an incredible ability to read the game. I lost count of the times that he was able to intercept and get ahead of the attackers, just in terms of sweeping up and getting across. Everything he does is just amazing, and I think we've got a real gem. We're all aware of that. I'm not professing that this is new news, but he is absolute world class in my opinion. And the best thing is he's our captain. He's still young. He's going to get better and better. I just can't stress enough how impressed I am with him. In terms of the positives and negatives tonight, as I mentioned, the positives, just the playing with urgency going forward. There was no slow build-up play. It just seemed as though we had intent and we were going for the jugular every time we moved forward. Switching play really well tonight as well between Rodriguez and Suso, and just everyone involved. Really, really quick to switch the play. Even Higuain, when he dropped back, he did it really well too. Off the ball, pressing really high, forcing Sampdoria into mistakes. There was a period leading up to the second goal in particular, but just before half-time where we started to back off, fall a bit deeper, and you could kind of see us falling into that same trap again where Sampdoria got comfortable, similarly to Betis, and just started to play their football, ended up in the second goal for them, taking the lead. I think we're obviously going to drop off at times in the game. We can't maintain a high press for 90 minutes, but in those situations where we do drop off, we get tired, we need to be a bit more sensible and keep our shape and make sure we don't slip up defensively. But overall, many more positives to take away than negatives. Negative, again, as I mentioned, the Musacchio and Calabria situation on the right side of the defence. I think that's a big weakness. I'm not 100% convinced that Biglia is good enough for a four-man midfield in terms of just being able to cover that much ground by himself. Kessie, I know, gets through miles and miles, but Biglia, for me, very sloppy in possession at times, but also just that's a lot of ground for him to cover on his own instead of having the two midfielders either side of him. Whether or not that's exposed against a better team, like I said earlier, that's another question mark over the 4-4-2. But overall, absolutely delighted for Gattuso. I am not going to make any secret of the fact that I am very much Gattuso in. I have had enough of managerial changes being the solution. I think he is the right man for the job. I'm not just saying that because we've won tonight. I defended him in midweek after the two defeats. Yes, he makes some glaringly obvious mistakes, tactically, changes, just in general, he does make mistakes. But we've got to remember that he is not a top-level coach. We are in a growing process with him. We're a growing process with this squad. And I think there's enough there for me personally. You can disagree. Your opinion is your opinion. That's fine. But for me personally, I just want as many people to get behind him and the team. I think, if anything, this was a perfect response and just showed what we can do when we're on the ball and we're feeling confident. And now we've got this result in the bag. Let's kick on from this point onwards now and try and improve across the board. Just looking through some of your comments. Bradley Watson at Spidey0816. 4-4-2 could be a solution. Only problem, lack of striker depth. Agreed. If we're going to play Cutrone and Higuain up top together, doesn't really give us much in terms of changing it off the bench. So that's a concern. Fair enough. That's a fair point. Calabria good enough, but Musacchio not so much. I think once we get Caldara healthy, we'll be more solid at the back, be way more comfortable. Romagnoli was class as always, underrated in my opinion. Maybe people will open their eyes now. Positives, striker pair successful. Suso showed up and dominated. Kessie keeps being a bully. Biglia actually had a solid game. I'll admit I'm not a Rodriguez fan, but he's definitely stepped up. Defensive communication, got to shore that up. Also hope Calabria gets better soon. He picked up a little injury at the end there. Getting thin at right back. Overall, believe Gattuso made a good call with the 4-4-2 when we needed the 3 points. Subs outside of Abate was good. Abate kind of forced on. All in all, we get a win Wednesday. We'll be great and January comes soon. Bradley, couldn't agree more with all of your points, to be fair. Highlighting Musacchio as a weakness. Agree with you on that point. Just the sooner the better Caldara can return to health. It's going to take a while, I feel, because he obviously picked up another problem in midweek. Whether that's going to keep him out of training now for a while, he's got to get his match sharpness and all that in order. So, unfortunately, I feel as though we might be missing him for another couple of weeks yet. But fingers crossed he comes back sooner rather than later. Class as always, underrated. Maybe people will open their eyes now. I'm actually quite happy people not opening their eyes to him. As if that keeps wandering eyes from around Europe away from him, absolutely fine. You guys carry on. Keep this guy our captain at the club for as long as possible because he is world class. Yeah, I mean, slight conflict there with the Biglia point. I think he was solid and he did have moments where he was brilliant in the front of the defence again, kind of intercepting and breaking up play. But I just feel as though, like I said, against a really, really good midfield with technically gifted players, I think he might just get picked off. So that's a worry for me, but we'll have to wait and see. In terms of Gattuso, I think he made the right decision with the 4-4-2. The substitutes, Abate, yeah, couldn't be helped. Conte was on the bench as well, but obviously I don't think he's ready. But yeah, let's see what happens now. Let's pick up another win in midweek and let's push on and climb up the table and get to where we want to be. At finally, Pepita, 4-4-2 makes use of our two strongest assets, Higuain and Cutrone. The team needs to practice it a bit more. Agreed with you, but like Bradley says, I think it does leave us a little bit short in the terms of the lack of depth that we've got. If we're going to start both of them, then what if we fall behind? What options do we have off the bench to come on and change things? That's the only concern with playing them both at the same time without an Ibrahimovic or a Pato coming off the bench. So hopefully a January signing on the way to address that. Musacchio needs to be replaced by Caldaras. Calabria is solid. 100% agree with you. The first point, the sooner Caldara comes in, the better. Again, I will echo your point. I think Calabria is solid. He is a very good defender and great going forward. It's just those moments, those key moments where he just seems to be caught out. And that just comes, I think, hopefully comes with experience, but we'll have to wait and see. Romagnoli is class, yes, and Gattuso will be fine to lead us to the Champions League, but not beyond that. He himself knows this. It's a bit, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's a bit difficult to kind of predict that. You know, what if this process for him is about growing, developing, gaining experience on the job. If he gets us into the top four, what's to say in 6-7 months' time that he can't kick on himself as a coach and improve significantly? You know, at the moment, yes, I don't think he's a coach that can take us to the very, very top, but if we give him long enough, if he continues to show the right things and we move forward and progress, then anything's possible, isn't it? I don't believe we can rule that out moving forward. Ngozi Cooper at the real White Jeff. Romagnoli is world class, agreed. Would have lost without him. Calabria is tired, we need to buy a defender. Musacchio is a substitute, 100% agree with that as well. 4-4-2 is a solution for sure. These kids really bleed for Gattuso, and this is an absolutely perfect point. I really, really do want to echo this one. For Ngozi, it made him realise that the players are to blame. I actually think that's an excellent point because, yes, there's a tactical change and the pressure was on and, you know, we needed to go out and get a result. But Gattuso didn't click his fingers and perform some sort of magic trick. These are the same players that just weren't performing over the past week. He's now sent them out with the right attitude and they've gone out and delivered. So I think, you know, Gattuso gets a lot of stick, and rightly so, and expected because he's the coach, but I think the players also have to take responsibility as well. They've set the standard for themselves now with this performance, and, you know, this is what's got to be produced week in, week out, and make sure that we get to where we want to be. Rishab Dabari, at Rishab Dabari, 4-4-2 works against smaller teams, and we'll have to work against bigger teams till January when we get Paqueta and have more options in midfield. Yep. Echo that point particularly. Yep, against the bigger teams I think we'll struggle, but who's to say by January we won't have a few more reinforcements and that can sort that problem out. We do need another striker for a third choice if we're going to do 4-4-2, maybe Pato. Again, agreed. I think, yeah, we can get away with the 4-4-2 consistently, but we do need depth in that position. So again, whether it's Ibrahimovic, whether it's Pato, who scored an absolutely blinding hat-trick this weekend, go check out at Milan Talk 1 on my Twitter timeline. Got a compilation of the 3 goals. Unbelievable finishing. Still got it. Fingers crossed that we can see him in the red and black again in the future. I think it would be not only a mental decision or a preference for me, but I think it's actually a sensible one for what we need right now and what he can offer. So I think it all fits in place. Rishab adds, Musacchio has problems with positioning. 100% agreed. He gets pulled out of the line too easily, and one of the basics of defending with 4 at the back is that if the attacking team has the ball on the right, the line has to be slanted towards the ball. If it's straight or slanted other way, it leaves too much room in behind for through balls. That's what happened for the second goal for Sampdoria. Calabria and Musacchio have to do better there. I'm hoping Caldara and Conte get fit. Also hope Calabria is okay. Romagnoli was great, looked calm at the back, wins every single header. Overall, a great performance. Clearly, Suso was feeling it today, and so were Pepita and Cutrone. Decent display from Rodriguez as well. Laxat looks okay, but I prefer Hakan. Man of the match, Suso. Flop of the match, Musacchio. And Rishab also adds, if Inter or Merda beat Lazio today and we win our Genoa game midweek, we will be top 4 going into round 11. Let's hope that's how it goes down. It's not all doom and gloom. We lost 1 league game and people started calling for Gattuso's head. Yeah, just to break Rishab's points down, again, I agree with the positioning of Musacchio, but just generally his awareness and his defensive solidity. Like I said, his tracking of runs is really poor for me. Whether it's the Icardi goal, whether it's Quagliarella tonight, Just think he's got to be more aware of where the attacker is and follow the run. I don't think he does that particularly well, but that's something he's got to fix up. Romagnoli, yep, world class. Suso, Cutrone and Higuain all on their game, agreed. And Rodriguez was good. Yeah, interesting one on Hakan and Laxalt. I think Laxalt is very crucial to a 4-4-2 because of the defensive work that he puts in. He was up and down that left flank a lot, put in a lot of hard work for the team. So I think that kind of may have flew under the radar a little bit. But yeah, agreed. I think obviously Hakan would be the priority and the preference, but is that too attacking then? 4-4-2, you've basically got Suso and Hakan on the wings still, and Higuain and Cutrone up top. Yes, Cutrone does an incredible job tracking back and doing his defensive work, as did Higuain, to be fair. Suso is getting better at it, and we know Hakan can do it, but I just think that might be a little bit too lopsided and a bit too much attack going on in the team for a 4-4-2. But why not? Against Genoa, we're going to dominate possession, fingers crossed, hopefully. Maybe that's the perfect opportunity to try and test that out and bring Hakan back into the starting lineup. At MD Coop 3, formation works for now as it's more attacking. Number 2, Caldara, when healthy, must start, and Romagnoli deserves to be captain. Intrigued by Castillejo and Laxalt, want to see more. Agreed on all of that. Yep, the different formation definitely makes us more of an attacking threat. We just need to shore things up at the back still. We still haven't kept a clean sheet. It's got to change. We've got to do something. Caldara coming in when he's healthy, 100%, and Romagnoli just different level. So unbelievable stuff from him again, and he's just becoming consistently great. At DA Pranata, I still hope Conte and Caldara will come back stronger than before, and if we want to keep playing with 4-4-2, we need to try and sign a striker ASAP. Again, 100% agree with you. It's a common thread in the comments from you guys tonight. Conte and Caldara coming into the team will make a massive difference at the back, and yeah, if we're going to play the 4-4-2, we just haven't got enough straight depth. Well, we haven't got any depth in the strikers position, so we need to address that in January, hopefully. At TRQ_super rookie, Romagnoli is world class. Musacchio needs to be replaced by Caldara. Calabria was horrible in the first half, but did a decent job in the second half. Rodriguez and Laxalt did an amazing job in sealing the left side. Biglia was really good. Kessie was completely absent. Maybe Bonaventura or Halilovic should replace him. Suso, Cutrone and Higuain were amazing. It was a solid performance overall, but they can do better. Yeah, I'd agree with most of what you said. Caldara for Musacchio, definitely. Calabria did better in the second half, 100%. And Rodriguez and Laxalt, I'm glad you picked out Laxalt for some praise. Yes, I do think both of them did really well down that left flank. Biglia was really good, yes, but just like I mentioned earlier, just a couple of question marks over against top sides. Will he get overrun? Bonaventura coming in would be an option, but again, I think similarly to what I was saying about Çalhanoğlu, I think if you're going to bring Jack in as well, then you're probably looking at a very, very attacking team that could get badly exposed on the counter-attack. I don't think we're going to see Halilovic start or play anytime soon, so I'm not sure on that one. But yeah, the front three, if you like, Suso, Cutrone and Higuain were amazing, 100%. But yeah, definitely a solid performance, but we can certainly improve, and hopefully we'll see those improvements moving forward. Samir Mohammed at Samir Mohammed 72 adds, if we never try the 4-4-2 against top teams, this is, we will never know. But I think it's the right one for now. Remember, Calabria was supposed to be Conte's sub, but he proved his worth. So, yeah, agreed on that one. I think that will be the eventual sort of pecking order, won't it? I think Abate will be pushed out. Conte will come in as number one choice, and then Calabria will be his backup. Romagnoli, simply great. And the 4-point negative from Kessie, can't play in 4-4-2. We need clean sheets. Agreed on both. I think Kessie will struggle. His work rate is exceptional, but is he particularly sort of suited to the 4-4-2 in terms of breaking away on the counter-attack? You saw his first touch on a couple of occasions, let him down. But then also, yeah, does that work rate is almost, does it kind of leave us exposed and prone to being played off the park? That's another question mark over that as well. Samir is the second person to add as well that Gattuso can only get us to the Champions League. He doesn't believe that he can get us any further. Again, like I said a minute ago, I think it's a question of proving himself to get to that level, and then at that point, can he kick on and prove himself to go on to the next level? I personally don't believe we can answer that question until it happens, but a couple of you are saying that you've got your doubts, which is fair enough, so we shall have to wait and see on that one. Thanks for all your comments, I really appreciate it. Apologies for the massive delay in the pod coming back. I had a few things going on at home. All sorted, back on the ball. You're going to see some more blogs from me on the website, milantalk.com as well. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at MilanTalk1 on both. Like I said, really pleased to see us getting back to winning ways tonight. I thought it was a really good performance for the most part. Great result. Had to dig in and get those 3 points, and we did. Genoa on Wednesday at the San Siro again. Then we've got Udinese on the weekend. So we've got 2 fixtures there that we can really just get stuck into now, build on what we saw tonight, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can sneak back into the top 4. As you guys mentioned in your comments, we're now 5th in the table, 15 points from 9 games. Depending on the results tonight, we've got a game in hand, win that game in hand, and we are knocking on the door for the top 4. So, again, I think it was Rishab that said, yes, we had 2 really bad performances and results, but to start calling for Gattuso's head, to start, getting the massive overreaction, I'm not saying it was from everyone, but certain people were obviously a bit more animated about it than others. But this just goes to show a big performance, big result. We're back in the mix, up to 5th. Let's just kick on now, get behind the team and Gattuso, and let's just see where we go. I think we can certainly push on and get into that top 4, so let's just see what happens. Again, thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. Milan Talk is back, and until Wednesday, Forza Milan.